Hello friends! I am super excited for today's video. This is my first non-theater related video on this channel, so that is really cool. However, if you are a fan of my theater related videos, there will be a new one up next week. Without further ado, let's begin. If you know me very well, then you know that I'm really into all things vintage. All of my favorite movies are considered vintage or classic. I own a number of vintage items, and more often than not you will find me in a vintage inspired outfit. Because of those reasons, a lot of people often ask me, well, how do I get into vintage? How do I do my hair and wear my makeup, and where do I get my clothes from? So today I am going to share 5 tips with you that will hopefully help answer some of these questions. As with any video of this nature, what I am about to share is solely my opinion, and there is no right or wrong way to look vintage. Let's get started. Number 1, find a muse. So you want to get into vintage style, but you have no clue where to start. I get it, I was there too. The vintage world is so vast and there are so many eras to choose from that it can become overwhelming at times. But a really good way to help you find your own unique style is to find a muse. By muse, I mean finding a vintage classic actor or actress, a model, a singer, or anyone that you like. Which actor or actress do you find elegant? Which model do you just love? Whose style do you personally love and want to emulate? For example, a couple of the actresses that I admire and use as muses often are Vivian Leigh and Hedy Lamarr. I absolutely love the way they dressed, and their photographs are just so beautiful to look at, not to mention that they were incredible actresses. I genuinely think it was my passion for classic films and my admiration for the glamorous leading ladies of the time that got me into vintage fashion. So pick a star you like and draw inspiration from them. You can find photos of them on Google Images. If you can't think of any muse, follow vintage themed Pinterest boards or Instagram accounts or Tumblr accounts, and sooner or later you will definitely find quite a bit of inspiration. Number 2, thrift shops are your friends. So you found a muse and you're drawing outfit inspirations from them. And you go to check out vintage shops only to realize that both real vintage and brand name vintage clothing is super expensive. My advice is to check out thrift shops. They have so many hidden treasures and you can build outfits to look vintage. Even stores like Forever 21 have vintage inspired items. If you wear the right accessories and dress yourself upright, you can make almost anything look vintage. Of course, shopping online is also a great option, and if you know how to sew, that's an even better option. Right now, Butterick and McCall's are putting out so many actual vintage reproduction patterns, and Joann's always has sales for these patterns, so just find out when there's a sale, like 5 for 5. You can pick up a ton of patterns, go on your merry way and start sewing. I promise you no one is going to judge you for not wearing an authentic 1914 dress. You don't need to break the bank to go vintage. That is a misconception that a lot of people have. Just be crafty and resourceful. You don't need $1 million to go vintage. Number 3, there will be stares. Dressing outside of the norm will always bring stares no matter what your style is, and sometimes even rude comments. I remember I was buying movie tickets one time, and this young man who looked as if he had just rolled out of bed yelled at me, "The Titanic boarded a long time ago." What a rude, unwarranted, and distasteful comment. I get it. Everybody has the right to their own opinions about different styles, and they might not be the most positive opinions. But people who feel the need to go up to somebody who is dressing in a certain style that might be different from theirs and make rude comments are unhappy with themselves. It is not your problem, it is theirs. For every negative comment you might get, there will be a ton of people who will compliment you a bunch, or little kids asking you if you are a Disney princess. Negative people just want to bring other people down. If dressing a certain way makes you happy, then go for it, as long as you're not offending anybody with it. Number 4, tutorials are a lifesaver. So you have your outfit picked out and now you want to do your hair and makeup, but you have no clue as to where to start. Luckily, in this day and age, there are so many resources available to us right here on YouTube. There are some incredible vintage tutorials ranging from heavily historically accurate to loosely inspired for whatever you need and want. There are also numerous websites that have actual authentic beauty guides of the day. And your local library might have these guides in their archives. I know here in LA we have the Los Angeles Public Library, which has an incredible archive section, so if you live near the area, you should totally go and check it out. There are also a lot of vintage makeup and hair books at your local Barnes & Nobles or bookstores that have just been published in the last few years, and they are super helpful. And of course, you can always consult a hairstylist and a makeup artist. Number 5, vintage fashion is for everybody. I will say this one time. Vintage fashion is for all genders, all races, all orientations, all religions. It's for everybody. Who cares if you might not have whatever is considered a classic face? What does that even mean? Don't let anybody tell you that you can't dress vintage because of whatever reason. You can dress in whatever way you like if you feel happy, and no one is allowed to make you feel any less beautiful or handsome. Vintage fashion is for everybody. Remember this, there is no wrong way to dress vintage. And that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned a few tips that might help you on your vintage journey. If you liked this video and would like to see some more vintage content on this channel, subscribe, hit the notification bell. It takes 2 seconds and it is free. And comment down below what your favorite vintage era is. Mine is La Belle Époque. You can find me on Instagram at pollypeachums with 2 U's, and join me next week in my 3rd installment of the What's My Type series. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time.